Hello people, it's Remember, and this video is a response discussion thingy to Drift0r's discussion with Hutch, the first part. And I'm going to talk a little about my opinion on gun laws and give a few arguments why I feel it's that way. Because it kind of kicked off like crazy in the comment section. A war started between, different-minded people. So I'm going to try and resolve that a little bit. Possibly I'll dip into the librarian part as well, but I'm not very well oriented within that, so we'll see about it. But into the gun laws and my opinions on it. To decide which of the two are best, anti or pro, can't really decide, but to give my opinion, I'm going to compare how stereotypical situations are going to look with or without guns. Of course, stereotypical situations connected with crime, like mugging, breaking into someone's house, and, well, organized criminals. So, but before I hop into that, I will give a few consequences of having either lax or strict gun laws. If you'd have strict gun laws, meaning no guns are sold to the public, no ordinary civilians would carry any guns. Assume they're not policemen, of course. Also, by having strict gun laws, small-time criminals as shoplifters, muggers, and people like that, they would probably not have any guns. I can tell that from personal experience. In Sweden and the rest of Europe, we have strict gun laws, and the small-time criminals, they don't have guns. However, established criminals, gangs, and people like that, I say people like that all the time, it's a bit annoying, but crime in that form, they will of course still have guns. They can get a hold of them, they've got contacts, and well, can bribe their way into getting to buy guns. So that will unfortunately still exist as you have strict gun laws. Now, also important to think about, if you would introduce strict gun laws to, say, USA, which is a country where most people have guns today, or a lot of people have guns, then of course civilians would leave their weapons, but the small-time criminals would not leave, so that wouldn't be very good. However, you've built your way into this trap or this corner yourself, and you kind of have to drag it down some way. You can't just keep building on, throwing into more guns. They can protect themselves, and it will become complete war before or later. So some way you gotta have to pull down on it slowly if you want strict gun laws. Now, moving over to if you would have lax gun laws, then most civilians would have guns. Not everyone, of course, because everybody doesn't see it's necessary, they don't feel it's necessary. All small-time criminals would probably have it if they are somewhat sane and smart. And of course, all the established criminals, they would of course still have guns. So, having introduced strict and lax gun laws and the consequences of them, what I think the consequences are, with all reason and logic, for some stereotypical situations. If someone breaks into your house, this is the one I've heard most of the time, you hear it all the time, I believe. If you have lax gun laws then, and the person breaking into your house has a gun, and you, as the owner of the house, you also have a gun, don't mind which type of gun, just a gun, enough to kill. What do you think you will be able to do? Fend this person off, saying, hey, if you try anything more, I will shoot you? Because the person breaking into your house, what does he have to lose actually? If he is breaking into your house, he obviously have a poor life, feeling that doing crimes is the only way he can survive. You, on the other hand, you have got your entire life, your house, you've got, I don't know, a family, you've got so much to lose, and if the criminal is somewhat smart, he knows that, he understands that. I've got nothing to lose, but you have. Why would you give it the risk and try and shoot me when I can shoot you and you will lose everything and I will lose my nothing? So, really, also, if you have a gun, it is very easy to just pull the trigger. He will probably not hesitate very much. It's a lot easier pulling a trigger on a gun than beating someone to death with a crowbar or a baseball bat, whatever the person breaking into your house may have. So both having guns won't really help out. The person may shoot you, and well, of course you could shoot him at once, but then you really just kill him on sight. And killing someone for breaking into your house, okay, it may be the last resort, but just on sight, boom, dead. That's really violent, and the person may not deserve it. I mean, he's probably had a bad life, and well, too bad, you're dead. So kind of baked in my own opinions there. But moving over to if you would have strict gun laws, then the person breaking into your house would not have a gun. He's a small-time criminal. You would not have a gun either. The person breaking into your house would have, say, a crowbar. Do you seriously think that if you encountered him, he would beat you to death? First of all, he's not. It's difficult beating another person to death. Not that I have any personal experience of it, but it's an all different thing than pulling a trigger on a gun, killing the person dead. So it is more likely that a person would flee if the person doesn't have a gun. It is a lot more difficult to beat someone to death, especially if they might be like his children, his or her children, standing behind him, and well, oh fuck, I'm getting a call. So having a crowbar, having a crowbar, you might have a baseball bat as the defender. It is more likely that the situation wouldn't get completely out of hand. No one can get killed that quickly and that easily, and the criminal won't be that cocky having only a crowbar compared to having a gun where they think they can just pull the trigger and kill him. So in that situation, I really don't see what you would win on having a gun if the criminal has a gun too. I mean, using a gun is so simple, he has nothing to lose, so using a crowbar against a crowbar, it's an all different situation. It takes so much longer time, the police has more time to get there, it's a greater chance of DNA getting on a place because he might spit or there might come some blood from him or something. So really the odds aren't in his favor at all that much anymore. So I don't think a gun in that situation would make it any easier, and therefore I really believe strict gun laws are preferable in that situation. So another stereotypical situation I've heard a lot of people discuss, if you get mugged, say some dark alley, some place where other people aren't around, you're on your own, should you have a gun or should you not? If you have a gun, then, and the person mugging you has it as well, he's a small-time criminal, but it's easy to get guns, so he has one as well. Assuming this is a mugging only one person to another. First of all, when he mugs you, he will probably have the advantage. He will probably sneak up from you and aim his gun at you from behind, say, hands above your head, throw your money at the ground or something, and you won't have much chance pulling out a gun if you happen to have one. And also, if you try pulling out your gun, he will probably not hesitate. He will probably kill you at instant because he knows everybody has guns. If he pulls his gun, then it's an even battle, and he doesn't want it to be an even battle. He sneaks up on you, and he wants it to keep that way, wants to keep it that way. So a gun isn't really useful in that situation. If you, however, would have strict gun laws, then neither of you would have a gun, probably. And the situation, of course, you would probably still have to leave your money, but it's a such lesser chance that the situation would get out of hand and things would just go crazy. So not having a gun in such a situation is actually better, because, well, something might go wrong and he shoot you just to be sure you doesn't do anything strange. So it's really best to not have a gun in such a situation, because having a gun there, he has the advantage, and if something goes wrong, you're the one who gets the shit for it. So best not have a gun there. It can do so much more damage than a knife or a baseball bat. If you change up to being mugged by a group, there is even less you can do with a gun, and it's even more likely that someone in the group will find you a threat, find you doing something strange and shoot you. So there's even less point in having a gun being mugged by a group where all people might have guns. It's really pointless because you can't do much there. the criminals have the advantage, a gun will just make it worse. So I think you can sum up both mugging someone and breaking into someone's house by the thief or the criminal has the advantage from the beginning because he or she is the one who starts the crime, pulls out their weapon first. So it has the first action, and if it is much worse if the first action is with a gun than with a baseball bat. Of course, a baseball bat's still bad, you can kill somebody in a blow directed properly, but a gun makes it so much worse, and since the criminal has the first action, things get so much easier out of hand. Last, if you encounter crime, established crime as a civilian, what can you do if you have a gun or if you don't have a gun? Truth is, you can't do much either case. They work behind curtains. If you would find them, you would be in a disadvantage because they probably have the bigger and better guns, and they are professionals. They are probably trained at shooting, and they are used at doing it. They are used of killing people, and you are not. It's difficult to pull the trigger on someone. I believe it is. So although I said earlier that it's easier than beating someone to death, it is still easy. It is still rather difficult. So you can't really do much against established crime either way. So I don't really see a point where you should be having guns then. And to sum up, sure, you can defend yourself in some situations, but having guns allows all the criminals to have guns very easily, and it makes for more of these situations where more of these criminal situations, and since the criminal doesn't have much to lose, it's a greater chance that they will pull the trigger first, since they don't hesitate as much as you. They've seen shit and they want to get out of that shit, no matter what the cost, sometimes. So yeah, that's my opinion. And also people that aren't completely mentally stable will easier get a hold of guns, and that may lead to things like school massacres and not some very nice things like that. I think that it is kind of due to that, due to the lax gun laws, that USA have had so many school massacres. I believe that, sure, you can blame it on bad politics, but somewhere still, why so much there and why so little here? We've had a few ones, but not at all the same magnitude. I really can't find any other explanation. So I hope you've understood by now that I am incredibly anti-gun. I mean just the homicide rates and crime rates in USA, they kind of speak for themselves. Then you can argue a lot around it, but just looking at those, well, black and white. So it might feel comfortable knowing that you have a gun to defend yourself against. But it's even more comfortable knowing that no one else has a gun. No one can start anything because they have no guns. And guns are really what makes things so crazy. They can kill people so quickly compared to just regular things like baseball bats and knives. I've been using them all through this commentary. You're sick of baseball bats and knives now. So, my quick comment about librarianism, being a librarian, having a librarian-ruled country, state, whatever. It has never worked. That's simple words, but true fact. As Drift0r has said, as you've said, Drifter, it looks great on paper, but it doesn't work out in reality. Sure, it works. It looks good on paper if everybody would be good people, but they aren't. Someone is gonna play dirty to get highest up in a company, and when they are there, they can do whatever shit they want to their workers. They can kick anyone that they don't like. They can kick anyone that works just a tad worse than someone else, even though the person might have worked there for many years. This person does it a little bit better than you, so I'm gonna kick you. You're out of here. It's just not a working society when they can pick people like that, and people that perhaps have been born with some disorder or have been in a car accident, become handicapped, they are just marked. They're not going to be able to make it into the society, or at least they're going to be low down. It's just not a fair society. It's completely based on luck, and if someone gets rich, then their children and their children and their children are also going to get rich. It's not a fair society in any way, and it also wouldn't work out with all the diversity you have in the USA. So no, librarianism, no thanks. Librarianism? No, it's not librarianism. It's having librarian ruling way. No thanks to that. Yeah, that's about it for this commentary. It's almost 16 minutes long, as usual when I'm making those responses for Drift0r. So I hope you enjoyed it. Learned something. I'm not gonna say this is opinions. I hope you realized something at least. Yeah, this has been Contra Member. Adios.